Hi everyone, I'm naturopath and founder of the Wellness Emporium, Shay Calder, and welcome to Ways to Wellness. Today we are on to a new topic and we're talking about menorrhagia. So menorrhagia is the abnormal, prolonged or heavy menstrual flow. There are actually 4 essential types of menorrhagia, and you'll actually be able to read them more in depth on my post that I popped up this morning. So if you haven't already done so, definitely check that out. But I am going to go through the 4 different types. So type 1, menorrhagia, it's such a difficult word to say, I always stuff it up. Menorrhagia due to anovulation. So this is where women aren't actually ovulating mid-cycle. This form of menorrhagia actually accounts for 70% of this dysfunctional uterine bleeding. So 70% of people that have menorrhagia, this is usually due to this anovulation type. It results in unopposed estrogen due to progesterone deficiency. Bleeding is prolonged and or profuse, and with pain and clotting as well. It may occur every 2 to 3 weeks, so shorter cycles, and bleeding can last for 7+ days, and this then results in anemia. So type 2 menorrhagia, this is due to luteal phase defects. So luteal phase is the second phase of your cycle. And in a few weeks' time, we're actually going to be talking about the different phases of the cycle, as well as all the hormones I've talked about in these IGTVs. So you're going to be able to go back through these and learn more. So as I said, type 2 is due to that luteal phase defect, so that second part of your cycle. Typically in an ideal cycle, it's that day 14 to 28. This form of menorrhagia results from increased estrogen to progesterone ratio. So type 1 was progesterone deficiency causing the unopposed estrogen. This is increased estrogen to progesterone ratio. So you see high estrogen, low progesterone. There is often a shorter cycle, so you'll see that 23 to 26 day cycle. Often you'll see that spotting 3 to 6 days prior to your actual period, and it's often that brown blood. Then before the actual period properly starts, then they will get that heavy bleeding for 2 to 3 days. Type 3 is due to prolonged luteal phase, so it's actually extended to a longer period. This form of menorrhagia is often due to perimenopausal failure of feedback mechanisms. So this leads to relatively high progesterone to estrogen ratio, with the possibility of raised androgen levels, so your male sex hormones as well. Bleeding is usually scanty, so all over the place, and is often prolonged as well, so it can last a while. Type 4 menorrhagia is due to ovarian atrophy. This form of menorrhagia results from low levels of both progesterone and estrogen. Bleeding is completely irregular, erratic, all over the place, with the cycle being variable to non-existent. So you can see there is a massive difference between the 4 different types of menorrhagia, and this is why the importance of hormones should be tested to figure out, is there high estrogen and low progesterone? Is there just low progesterone and estrogen is fine? Is there low progesterone and low estrogen levels? The best way to test our hormones, and I've mentioned this before, is through saliva or dried urine, and we do this in clinic. It is not a test that you can get from your normal GP. It is a private functional test because we're looking at the functionality of those hormones, and in blood it just does not give us a good enough representation of what's happening. We want to see really what's going on in more of the tissues. So the risk factors, let's delve into them that can contribute, or the causative effect can causing menorrhagia. Stumbled across my words there. So perimenopause is due to anovulation cycles causing high levels of unopposed estrogen is one of the causes. Hormonal medications, HRT, estrogen without progesterone, that sort of thing. Anemia, I love this one because people are going, what? I'm anemic because I've got heavy periods. But it is also a causative effect as well. So if you have anemia, it actually can cause heavy periods. So we really need to correct that your ferritin levels and get those tested as well to see where they are at. Ideally, we want ferritin levels to be at 100 for women. Increased prostaglandin production, so this is inflammation going on. Environmental toxicity, so these are your xenoestrogens that you can find in like pesticides, plastics, beauty products, especially like your perfumes that you're spraying on your delicate areas that are absorbing straight into the blood. Stress is a big factor in menorrhagia. Overweight or obesity, because actually increased fat mass can cause higher estrogen levels. So we really need to make sure you're maintaining a healthy body weight when it comes to menorrhagia. Hormonal disorders, blood disorders of the platelets, coagulation issues as well, use of anticoagulant medication like warfarin that can cause menorrhagia, and then prolonged periods as well. So, making sure, whatever you put in your mouth is going to have an effect on your body. IUDs, contraception, contraception intrauterine devices, so like the copper IUD can actually cause heavy and prolonged periods as well. Uterine fibroids, endometriosis, endometrial carcinomas, hypothyroidism. Again, we need to get your thyroid checked in as well. So hormones, salivary or dried urine. Thyroid, we want to test in the blood. You can also test your cofactors of thyroid production like iron, selenium, zinc, tyrosine, and obviously your iron levels, so your ferritin levels. Other things, abnormal pregnancies and miscarriages, and also infections can cause this menorrhagia, so getting checked for STDs too. Common signs and symptoms. So what actually is a heavy period? This is when women usually have to worry about leaking through their tampons or pads, where they have to change them every single hour due to a possible leakage, or having to use pads and also tampons just in case. And this could last a few days. The need to change sanitary protection overnight as well, because your blood should be slowing down at night. So you shouldn't have to change your pad. You should be using pads only at night. You don't want to leave a tampon in more than 4 hours. So you shouldn't have to change your pad or your menstrual cup overnight. Menstrual periods that last longer than 7 days. This is another sign of menorrhagia. Heavy menstrual flow with large clots in it. Heavy menstrual flow that interferes with regular lifestyle activities. So if you are thinking, you've got a really heavy flow, you don't want to go out because you need to be close to a toilet, or you're worried about leakage, that sort of stuff, that is another sign of menorrhagia. Dysmenorrhea, so painful periods, can be another sign. Tiredness, fatigue, and shortness of breath, because these are all symptoms of anemia. So join me next week, and we're going to talk about the specific diet and lifestyle recommendations for this condition. And then the following week, we'll be talking about natural treatments. If you do want to connect with us, make sure you connect with us on social media. Also jump on our website to see what we offer in clinic. We do one-on-one consults both in clinic and also telehealth. I will look forward to sharing some more knowledge with you next week. Until then.